We're all getting these opportunities at leads, whether or not it's a Zillow lead or a Realtor.com lead or a pay-per-click lead or an OpCity lead, whatever. But we're dealing with a real high volume of incoming leads right now. So let's talk about the framework from hello to congratulations, you've got an accepted offer. Let's take a look at every step in that process, because your goal is to optimize each step. Let's look at the best practices. Let's look at the best scripts. Let's look at how you can, outperform your competition. So let's dive into the framework to optimize this whole thing. So let's take a look at a couple step one. So step one would be the hello, right? The first conversation. So we want to take a look at, where this lead has been in their journey. And if you don't quite understand where they're at in the journey, i.e., have they been bouncing around on Zillow? Have they been in communication with OpCity and Realtor.com? Are they just a pay-per-click lead? They were just online last night searching. There's where they're coming from and what their experience was to get to you is important, because now you can actually speak to them from there. And that's a critical piece to this puzzle. So with that said, what is the expectation of the customer with you now on the phone? What is their expectation? What do they value? What do they think is important? So the simple thing is, we know right now with the Zillow connection call, generally speaking, they're looking for the opportunity to see the house. So if you say, hey, let's book an appointment, let me help you get into that house so you can go see it, right? That's the expectation of the client. So that's what you should do, step one. But that doesn't mean that we're done, right? So now best practices from there. So what would be some of the best moves that we should make between the time that we said that we're going to get this appointment and the appointment? And this is kind of phase one, right? On the call, we address their where they're at and we address it. Now phase two is, now what's the next thing? So what is the ideal customer? And this is what we need to discuss here is, how do we optimize for the ideal customer, the perfect customer, the one that wants you to take them through this journey, that would follow your advice, that would do whatever you recommend. Too often, most of us are optimizing our script and our strategy for the jerk, the person that is in a hurry, the person that just wanted to see the property, the person that doesn't want to talk to a realtor. No, why are we optimizing for them? Let's optimize for the person that says, oh my gosh, I'm excited to talk to you. If you have more questions, you have more things to share, you have a plan, you know how to help me be successful in this, you can share some of your wisdom about how to get from point A to point Z. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm here, tell me. Let's optimize the basic foundation for that person. So, on the phone call, we then, of course, if they were the perfect customer, how would that conversation go? What questions would you ask? What would be the outcome of that conversation? Then, now, we move to phase two, which is between the conversation to the next appointment. If the ideal outcome was to book an appointment, then what could we do between now and then? What is some of the influence strategies? What are some of the tools, the technology? What are some of the conversations? What are some of the best questions that would allow us to learn more about the customer, figure out how we can serve them, figure out how we can level up the perceived value of you and I as a great realtor? What are your best practices? What are you currently doing? And what could we add into this equation? Okay, so that's step number two. Okay, now some of those things, this is where video can really make a big difference. This is where guides can really make a big difference. This is where a Zoom buyer consultation would make a big difference. If you booked the consultation, of course, that's what we ideally would want to do from the first conversation to learn more about where they're at in the process, what do they know, what do they not know, right? And then what can we educate them on? How could we teach them about this, the steps to be able to have success right now? That's the ideal. We can do that in Zoom, we can do that over the phone, we can do that at a coffee shop if you're not in California, right? So what is then the ideal on the consultation? Okay, so now, step number 3 is we're either doing the consultation or we're doing the showing appointment. So let's talk about the showing appointment for a second here, okay? If we are booking a showing appointment with them, isn't it appropriate if someone, let's say it was a Zillow call and they're like, I really want to see it, or a realtor call, I really want to see that property. Wouldn't it be appropriate to ask them, hey, just so I'm prepared as a professional, and in this market we have really low inventory, things are getting multiple offers within the first 24, 48, 72 hours. Depending on the marketplace, you might actually know the date that they're going to review offers. It's perfectly appropriate for you to ask them, hey, so I'm prepared as a professional, right? So for our appointment, if this property checks all the boxes, would you consider making an offer, and should I be prepared to be able to help you with that process? Why wouldn't we ask that? Yes, no, maybe so, right? Now some of you are like, but they might say that they have an agent. That's okay. I'd rather know that going in versus not know that. Okay, and regarding objections, we will handle objections after we master the perfect workflow. Once we master the perfect workflow, then we'll go back and then we'll deal with objections. Because when you deal with objections, then all we're doing is we're increasing the conversion rate. If your ideal workflow converts 1 out of 10 buyers, great. Let's start working on some of those objections, and now let's convert 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. But until you have the perfect workflow, there's no point in us getting too deep into objections, okay? So let's keep going. We got the showing appointment. You've asked this preparation question. Now, how do you prepare for a showing appointment for the first time? And trust me, I'm an agent. I've been there. I'm showing up late. I didn't prepare. I don't know anything about anything. And I show up and I fumble and bumble around. And of course, I most of the time lose the business. What's the opposite of that? So if, this is a high cost lead, Realtor, Zillow, you name it, shouldn't we, best practices, shouldn't we show up 10 minutes before? Shouldn't we spend 20 minutes and do some comp analysis? Shouldn't we send them a confirmation text, look forward to seeing you? Shouldn't we maybe do a little video text so they can kind of see your face and get familiar with you, so when they walk up to the house, they recognize you, right? I've done this a lot where I'm like, hey, snap a photo of myself with like the color of my shirt. So like, hey, this is me. So just when you see me, that, know it's me, or this is me in my BMW. So, don't think that it's a creepy guy coming around the corner. Preparation, best practices. Okay. So what if you showed up 10 minutes early? What if we spent a little bit of time reviewing the comps? What if we had a conversation with the listing agent? Then when they showed up, 10 minutes early, we turn all the lights on, get the house prepared so that it's actually great, ready to go. Then you meet the clients at the front of the house. Now, the most important thing that I learned doing a lot of open houses and doing high conversion from open houses is when someone walks in, I welcome them professionally. Nice to meet you, I'm Patrick. And then I give them a presentation and I say, are you familiar with this neighborhood? Are you familiar with this property, right? And then I share some things that I know that only a hyper-local expert would know. And that, my friends, is how I converted massively at open houses. So why wouldn't I take this best practice and do this for the first time at a showing? Then I say, guys, go take a look at this house, right? And they now go explore, and the property was prepared. They were impressed with your presentation. They were impressed with your knowledge. Then what I find out is when they come back around, right, now they start asking me more questions, right? Now when they look at the difference between, maybe they've seen other properties with other agents who showed up like, right, well, this lockbox, I can't seem to figure it out, which, trust me, I've done. I can't seem to get the key and the door is not working. We're just sitting there sweating, while the buyer's sitting there looking down on you, right? So we've all been there, okay? So now when they see this presentation, the house is prepared, and now they're like, wow, right? Like, this was such a better experience than maybe the last two agents that I looked at property with. Ding, ding, ding. How do we level up the perceived value of our experience with them versus the competition? So again, best practices, optimizing so that we have success. Then of course, now if we haven't done a buyer consultation yet because we're showed the property first, then what is your offer to them? They're impressed with your presentation. They asked you a bunch of questions. What would you like to do with them next? Obviously, the buyer consultation is next. And then you ask a couple of different questions like have you done a buyer consultation yet? No. Has anyone taken the time to do that? No. Is this the type of property that you guys would like? No. Right? Has anyone reviewed is this the neighborhood? Yes. Has anyone reviewed all the off-market opportunities within this community? No. Has anyone told you the difference between this community versus that other community? Has anyone looked at the different property types in this one at this price point versus those property types at that one? No. Good. Well, should we do a buyer consultation? Has anyone reviewed with you the challenges in this market about getting your offer accepted and about how making offers is working? And, on average right now we're seeing, it takes about 4 offers written to get 1 accepted. Has anyone reviewed with you how to get these, your dream home an acceptance versus lose, lose, lose? No. Well, we should do that, right? Come on, guys. What is the optimal thing that we should be doing for the perfect customer who would be like, oh my God, thank you. I would love to learn all those things, right? Then we move them to the next phase, right? On the consultation, right? So let's say that they did the consultation with you either before or after. What are the best practices on the consultation? What's the most important thing that they need to know today to be successful? What are the best questions for you to ask to be able to figure out exactly what they're looking for and to be able to have an amazing experience where like, wow, we didn't even know that we wanted that. We didn't even know that this was a priority until you asked us all these great questions. We discussed it together. What is your series of questions where people are self-discovering what's really important to them, right? What are the best ways that you can present and talk to them about finance and interest rates and lenders and the different types? What's the most important thing that you can share about making an offer that gets accepted? What's the most important thing you can share about how the timing of all of this works? Do you have any expertise in any other vendors that are involved? Your best explanation around sharing with them the costs of buying a home and what they're responsible for, how you get paid, how this whole thing works. Come on, guys. What is in your ideal scenario? What would you share with the perfect customer that they would be so excited that you actually did it? Ding, ding, ding. Next. Now, from there, what do we do? Okay, so after we've done this consultation, right, the outcome of the consultation that we want is that they hire you. Patrick, could you please be our realtor, right? The funniest line I ever had was I did this big, long, really cool consultation, buyer consultation, and then they were walking out, they're like, we're so happy we found you. We didn't know that, we were going to hire you to be our realtor. They just said it to me, and I was like, cool. Is your consultation achieving that level of result where they go, how can I hire you? I want you. One of my great coaching clients, shout out to Kirsten, right, out in Texas. She was like, oh my gosh, this person was like, I want you to be my realtor. We've been working on this stuff for a while. Okay, that's what I'm looking for you. It'd be so great. Okay, now, so after the consultation, do you have maybe an agreement? Here's what I do. Here's what I ask of you. Here's a simple agreement. Do you like your buyer brokerage agreement? Great. If you just have a one pager of just like, here's what I'm committed to. Here's how you hire me. Here's what I would expect of you. Here's what you can expect of me. And this is how we would work together as a team to help you achieve the goals that you have, to deal with some of the challenges in today's market, to be able to be successful. This is how we work together, right? Do you have that? Okay. Now, let's fast forward now to the next phase, step 4 or 5. I don't even know what step we're on, right? So the next phase after the consultation, of course, we've talked about showing property. Then we talked, now it's the next move is they want to make an offer. Okay, so they want to make an offer. Now, what are the best practices? Do you just talk to them via text message? I've done that, don't do it. Or do you book an offer consultation? Now, in some markets, you don't have time for that. And that's okay, but maybe do you do it via Zoom? That might be a good idea. Do you have something pre-written that says, here's the best practices that I'm aware of today that are critically important for us to be able to, for me to be able to powerfully present you to the listing agent and to get the listing agent and the seller to agree to give the property to you versus the stiff competition? Have you written that out yet? Right? Can you share that with them? Have you created a, how to write an offer cheat sheet for your market, your contract yet? Right? I'm working on mine right now. I'm updating mine because it's just efficient. And just send it to them, have them fill it out, look at it, start talking to them about that way in advance. So that's not a surprise to them. We want to make an offer. You call the listing agent. We're reviewing 2 offers tonight. We're going to make a decision in the morning, and you haven't even had an offer conversation with your buyer client yet. They don't even know what to expect. They don't even know what to have. Why can't we just get all that stuff prepared in advance? Have them review the contract, review an example contract, review an example of disclosures, understand the costs and the fees. Can we get them all prepared for the stuff in advance? Right, before they actually tell you we'd like to make an offer. See, that would be so great, right? Now, do we do that during a consultation? Kind of, but really it's kind of between, I would say it's between consultation and, seeing the property that they fall in love with, that maybe we get that stuff done in between there, right? So the consultation is really more of that discovery and the agreement to work together so we can not make it for 3 hours, right? So in between, after the appointment, between the showing, let's get all of the how to make an offer that wins and get all those details, cover all the contract, do a lot more education, whether that's video, that's guides, whether it's just, straight conversations or meet over coffee or meet for coffee after a showing or before a showing, right? So that you can just kind of sit down and explain things if that's what you're best at. Who cares? Optimize for the best practices, right? Next, so now that we've got the kind of offer stuff out of the way, now to get the congratulations, the next step you need to watch my video is how do we present the offer to the listing agent and the seller. So we've got a lot of stuff to optimize there because we're all in massive competition. So the last phase of this thing, we can get buyers all the way here to making offers, but once you're here, now we need to finish the step off with best practices for, presenting the offer and getting the offer accepted with the listing agent and the congratulations. So I just created the framework. I just wanted you to see the context, right? The big principles here. Optimize for the ideal customer first. Look at every step in the way. There's if this, then that, of course. They may take this road, they may take that road. That's okay. Get the perfect plan in place first. You're not going to be perfect every time. That's okay. But if we're executing the best possible plan that we can with the time and the resources and tools and the effort that we have, we're going to increase your success rate. and then we'll perfect it better over time, i.e. coaching, guys. This is what we do, right? Then, of course, now, last step, which we're going to talk about on the next video, is how do we go back and start to deal with some of these objections, right? Because if we start dealing with the objections, then we can increase the conversion rate. But let's get you fundamentally 1 out of 10 converting. Then let's work on the 2 out of 10 and the 3 out of 10 and get you to where some of my great clients, shout out to Eric Lambert, man, that kid is at 1 out of 5 conversions. 1 out of 5. His process is so tight. It's so awesome, right? It's actually my most successful video on Zillow conversion with Eric Lambert. So go check that out, because you can hear that he's now handling objections and he's crushing objections. And so he's got the perfect process from start to finish, and he's got the objections handled. That's how he's getting 1 out of 5 Zillow connection calls under contract and closed. Hello, ching ching, bing bing. Let me know how I can help you. Leave some comments below and start to work on your framework. You're probably gonna have to watch this maybe 1 or 2 more times. Just turn me up, guys. Go down to the settings button down there and then just turn me up so you can go through it fast. Okay? Have an awesome day.